Indians building the future of India's workforce. In April 2023, India overtook China as the most populous country in the world. As per UN projections, India has a population of 1,425,775,850, surpassing China for the very first time. A significant part of this growth has been driven by India's young population, with about 65% of Indians being under the age of 35. For years, experts have spoken of how India must leverage this sizable young population and the demographic dividend that comes with it. Making the most of this demographic dividend poses a real opportunity for economic growth. Encashing it, however, comes with sizable challenges. The key to encashing the demographic dividend is the creation of an adequate number of jobs and helping India's youth gain skills that can help them self-sustain. But it's not just about that. It's also about assisting segments of the population, particularly women left out of the formal workforce, to get back into it. Given the changing realities of the workplace following the recent pandemic, it has also become important to reconfigure what it means to work in a formal setting. In this chapter, we won't get into an academic debate about how India can leverage its demographic dividend. What we will explore are concrete examples of how certain platforms pioneered by ordinary Indians are helping the country encash its demographic dividend, while also facilitating the entry of those often ignored or left out of the formal workforce. One such platform is Pune-based SheWork for women in the technology sector looking for jobs commensurate with their qualification and experience. Then we have Bridge Labs, a Bengaluru-based venture that works with technology companies to hire engineers fresh out of college and transform them to industry-ready developers. Finally, there is Ekatra, a Kota-based sustainable lifestyle brand that empowers homemakers to earn a living. Speaking to the visionaries behind these ventures, one gets an acute sense of the work that goes behind providing people with the necessary skills to find quality jobs and help those long forgotten by industry find their way back into the formal workforce. Part 1. Solving the Empty Pond Syndrome. Narayan Mahadevan, the founder of Bridge Labs, calls himself a hardcore techie. He spent over 30 years in the tech industry, half of which was in the United States. Bridge Labs was his third startup and was founded in 2015. When I started Bridge Labs, I found that the employability and recruitment space in the tech industry is akin to an empty pond syndrome. Engineers ask, where are the jobs? And companies say, where are the engineers? When plenty exists on either side. In the West, where unemployment among STEM graduates is less than 2%, India sits around 80%. So there is ample demand and supply. But it's an empty pond and both sides are struggling, says Narayan. He believes that every startup goes through situations where they take inexperienced engineers because that's all they can afford. For an inexperienced engineer, there is no classroom, curriculum, trainer, or trainees. They learn on the job by problem solving. They are mentored by real practicing engineers, and they learn exactly what is needed on the shop floor. And in a couple of months' time, they are all productive. So when I started Bridge Labs, I unknowingly had already solved the employability problem. What I did for my own startups, why can't I do that for the ecosystem? He recalls. According to him, the ecosystem is really struggling, particularly training institutes and edtech companies. This is because learning happens by employing a predominantly classroom methodology. They first define a classroom, a curriculum, and then coursework, and they treat each batch of students like a cohort and take them forward, irrespective of whether they are capable or not. With the exception of technology, no other field, I argue, pushes learning in a classroom system. Learning in other fields often happens through practice in the workplace. Take chartered accountancy, for example. You do articleship and work with a partner who's not a trainer. After medicine, you do a residency where the senior doctor is not your trainer. Unfortunately, in the tech sector, we still follow a model that involves a classroom, curriculum, coursework, and trainer-trainee. How on earth are engineers going to learn in a practical mode so that they are able to be productive in their job and thus employable? Asks Narayan. This became the core philosophy of Bridge Labs. The engineer doesn't come onto their platform because they want to learn machine learning, data mining, and DevOps. They do it because they want a tech job. On our platform, we address problem statements and not any curriculum. Problem statements never change, even though technology is ever changing. For example, take an e-commerce problem statement. 20 years back, we also had a shopping cart and a point of sale terminal where we were billed. Today, we do it online on our mobile phones, but 20 years later, I might do this transaction in a meta or virtual world. But would you remove the shopping cart? Would you remove the ability to itemize a shopping cart and select the quantity? Would you remove the payment that you do for what you have purchased? Asks Narayan. Whether you are shopping offline, online, or in a virtual world, the technology used for a point-of-sale terminal will change, but the problem statement doesn't. As new technology comes, a problem is solved in a better manner. How engineers learn is by solving those problem statements, mentored by real practicing engineers purely through a kind of a code review. There is no theoretical learning. It is all by practice, he says. And so Bridge Labs has built a pure experiential learning makeup phenomena and problem statement model, where only practicing engineers assist engineers fresh out of college. This is followed by a prediction algorithm based on a proprietary track mechanism built to measure each applicant's tech capability, testability, learnability, and communicability, among 21 other different parameters. Based on this prediction algorithm, Bridge Labs predicts what kind of a job profile is suitable for a particular applicant. From day one, Bridge Labs has been a B2B company, not a B2C. That means we work with tech companies and get a contractual mandate and they pay for it. Based on our prediction algorithm, we map the engineer to a mandate and then train them exactly for the job specifications so that they are job ready from day one, says Narayan. Neither are we a pure edtech organization, nor a job tech or recruitment platform. The edtech platform has no clue about what kind of a job their learner will do. The job tech platform has no clue about what the capability of the engineer is. We kind of married the two facets together and created a bridge to employment through a lab we created, he adds. Who are the applicants? About 90% of the engineers that they work with are freshers, predominantly from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. It's not like these applicants don't have the capability. In fact, we've been partnering with the Economic Times Campus Start program for the last 4 or 5 years. Around 100,000 engineers from 3,000 engineering campuses in India take our Bridge Labs Tech Quotient test. We find that 45% of them can be made tech employable. They are not ready today, but they can be made tech employable. The engineers who enroll are predominantly from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, because no employer is going there and no hiring drives are happening, says Narayan. What are some examples of Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities? If it's Maharashtra, the applicants could be from Nashik, Nagpur, Ahmednagar and Sangli, but not predominantly from Mumbai or Pune. If it's Karnataka, they take in applicants largely from Hooghly, Dharwad, Udupi or Mangalore. In Tamil Nadu, most applicants are from Coimbatore, Madurai, Tirunelveli, etc. Meanwhile, about 80% of Bridge Labs' customer base are startups and product companies. Do engineers applying for tech jobs have demands of their own from employers? As we go to tier 2, 3 and 4 cities, engineers there have only 2 or 3 simple demands: a compatible salary, a work location near where they live, and a strong ambition to climb up the ladder. The segment that Bridge Labs largely caters to is predominantly hungry to get into a tech role, says Narayan. Getting a job on Bridge Labs. A fresher first gets into Bridge Labs' Foundation Boot Camp. This is a job guarantee boot camp. That means applicants pay a certain fee for the first portion of this camp. Here, they are not taken through any kind of advanced technologies like machine learning, data engineering, full-stack development, DevOps, and cloud. They are taken through core foundations important for any of these technologies, like understanding Linux, object-oriented programming, design, database, I/O streams, etc. If applicants don't have this foundation in place, they really can't do anything above it. This is followed by learning by problem statements and creating that track valuation. That is where we approach tech companies asking them what kind of a job role they are looking for and if we can map these engineers to that job role and get a contractual mandate. Our goal is that every engineer who gets into this program based on their caliber are taken into some kind of a job, which could be from deep tech, machine learning and data engineering to cloud, DevOps, full stack and basic standard tech jobs, explains Narayan. Meanwhile, Bridge Labs uses 3 steps to prepare engineers to suit whatever job roles companies require to fill. Number 1. The first leg of the program is mandatory for all, so that they are able to predict their caliber. Number 2. The second leg involves mapping these engineers to the job roles of the companies that they have a contractual mandate to find. Number 3. Finally, training them for the role. As per our mandate, tech companies can't say that they're going to get involved in a selection process after we map out and prepare this engineer for them. We have followed this mandate with around 800 tech companies, he adds. Bridge Labs takes the risk of a bad hire. To tech companies, they come in as a talent solution partner. Our program management team is involved with their line managers to make sure that the perfect fit has happened. If it has not happened, we constantly nurture the engineer so that the perfect fit happens. The process from application to the foundation program to creating job-ready engineers for tech companies lasts 4 to 6 months, explains Narayan. Today, the venture claims that close to 6,000 engineers register with them every month, of which close to 250 join their foundation boot camp. Practically, we have a cohort starting every week. In the initial boot camp, we have a 1:10 ratio of mentor-mentee. The mentee learns first with the mentor, following which the former answers a given problem statement by themselves and learns. On the following day, the mentor reviews the code of what the mentee has written. Every 10 days, there is a day-long workshop where mentors check whether mentees are able to apply their learnings or not, he says. When applicants come into the final boot camp, the training becomes hybrid. The foundation program, however, is purely online. Once an applicant completes the entire process, the salary bracket for basic tech roles begins with 3 to 4 lakh rupees per annum. However, it also depends on the technology roles they get. Candidates applying and getting through to advanced tech roles earn anywhere between 4 to 6 lakh rupees per annum, and the deep tech roles pay freshers between 6 to 8 lakh rupees, he says. Changing nature of work. There is no doubt that the recent pandemic has created a lot of change in the tech space. Narayan says, as a developer, I always wanted my team to be right next to me. My mindset was, I can't promise deliveries if I can't see my team next to me. The pandemic actually created a remote workforce. This has opened up plenty of opportunities. Now everybody is used to working in a distributed and remote working setup where teams don't have to sit together. Before the pandemic, this kind of scenario never existed. People can work from home, office, or it could be a hybrid model. But it is no longer assumed that everybody is sitting together working in an office, he says. The second change that the pandemic has created, especially for women, is that the companies now are a lot more flexible about their demands from employees. Take the example of Bridge Labs. Pre-COVID, they expected all of their engineers to be working out of their offices in Bengaluru or Mumbai. So, either their employees were residents in these cities or were asked to relocate there. Post-COVID, they have engineers working out of cities like Visakhapatnam for reasons including taking care of their families. This is actually what I see in tech companies today. They are open to a hybrid workforce, remote workforce, and open to their employees giving only a certain percentage of their full time at work. But they are actually making that room in their HR process to accommodate these different working conditions, he adds. What can tech companies do to make things better? Tech companies today want a job-ready, fully employable workforce. That is where challenges like retaining employees and addressing the attrition problem crop up. They need to change their mindset and look at where there is a larger talent pool available. As stated earlier, 80% of our applicants are from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, of which a good 40 to 50% are tech employable. How do we support this kind of workforce? He says. India has a massive problem here. The country is going to have the world's largest workforce by 2030, with 120 million in the age group of 20 to 25 who need help to get jobs. Every company needs to find better ways of tapping into a younger workforce instead of saying that they want a productive engineer from day one, he adds. According to a report published by NASSCOM last February 2022, India has emerged as a global hub for digital talent with over 5 million tech workforce. The industry recorded nearly 10% estimated growth in direct employee pool in FY 2022E with a highest ever net addition of approximately 450,000 to its employee base. Narayan, however, notes, even amongst the 5 million IT workforce in India, only 30% are digitally tech-ready. In other words, most are working in a tech company but in a non-tech role. How can you get them back to tech roles? So, I would urge all tech companies out there to look at the larger pool of engineers rather than the job-ready day one employable pool. Bridge Labs has constantly focused on the non-employable pool, which we mold and create into a larger employable pool, he adds. Part 2. Tech for Women, bringing them back into the workforce. Pooja Bangar first met Tejas Kulkarni during their undergrad days, studying computer science at Savitribai Phule, Pune University. After graduating in 2015, they went their separate ways. Pooja worked as a software engineer in a multinational company, while Tejas left for the United Kingdom to study and eventually work there for a company called Adva Optical Networking based out of York. We were close friends who stayed connected. During our conversations, we started discussing the problems India is facing when it comes to diversity in the workplace, particularly on the question of giving opportunities to women. We spoke of how other countries like the UK and Germany are better adapting to instituting diversity in their companies. In my first job, I had joined a very junior post, but observed that women working in leadership roles like manager or senior manager faced many difficulties, recalls Pooja. At Cognizant, she was assigned to work with a multinational investment banking company. There, she observed women weren't given the same number of opportunities as their male counterparts when it came to going on-site for customer discussions. These opportunities were often given to male employees. Meanwhile, at Adva Optical, Tejas got the chance to travel with his colleagues to Munich, Frankfurt, and many other cities in Germany. Accompanying him on these work trips were many women from his organization. At his company, he witnessed an attention to diversity and giving opportunities for deserving employees to travel irrespective of their gender. In the Indian tech industry, this was definitely not the case. As Pooja recalls, during our discussions, Tejas and I always envisioned wanting to do something for women working in the tech industry. By the following year, I quit my regular job and we established our own software company called Telemerge IT Services Private Limited and made our foray in the tech industry. We established an informal rule that we would give more opportunities to women in our company to identify how it goes before solving this problem for bigger tech companies in India. They encountered different challenges when it came to hiring women. While running Telemerge, they learned that women looking to rejoin the workforce after a sabbatical or maternity leave were hesitant to get a job in the tech industry because they felt trapped, found traveling a challenge, and were struggling to strike a balance between household work and office work. We tried to identify such problems. By March 2020, we created our own platform called shework.in, specially for women talent in India. As a priority, we have created a community or a platform where our talent advocates talk to women, particularly those coming back to work after a sabbatical, and help them restart their careers, explains Pooja. The biggest problem for us pre-pandemic was convincing companies to give remote work opportunities to women. In many ways, the onset of COVID-19 was a major turning point for us because companies, especially in the tech industry, understood how remote work really works for them. This propelled SheWork to work on a larger scale, she adds. Over time, they collaborated with companies like Xebia, Tata Consultancy Services, Tech Mahindra, etc. Today, they are partnering with 150 to 200 companies of different scales. Who does SheWork assist? They are solving the problem of lack of women in the tech industry, primarily in leadership or mid-level roles working on specified technologies. So, we are trying to work with developers or people in leadership roles with anywhere between 3 to 12 years of experience. We do have plans in the future to help women in other industries, but as of today, our vision is to try and solve the problem in the tech industry, says Pooja. Our main focus is not just to solve the problem for women talent. We also have to look at the companies who are going to hire them. Companies also have to trust women into giving them a chance. Our focus lies in balancing their respective needs, she adds. What's particularly unique about SheWork is that they are focused on delivering well-experienced talent for tech companies with a turnaround time of 24 hours. When we get a requirement from a company, we give them matching job profiles within 24 hours. Following this, you have the standard hiring process by a company. Once the company completes their rounds of tests and interviews, the person who is selected joins the company within a day. We are focused on delivering the right job for the candidate and the right candidate for the company at the right time, claims Pooja. In terms of job profiles, we are focused on project managers, designers, mobile-based application developers, web-based application developers, the front-end, back-end, full-stack developers, testers, etc. We want women to have more opportunities in tech, she adds. Another important point is that SheWork does not approach engineers fresh out of college. This is what also differentiates them from many job tech and edtech companies in this space. We specifically work with women who have worked in the industry for at least 3 years, because that is where the problems of attrition start emerging. We cater to the problem where, after 3 years of working in a tech job, the female employee decides to marry or prepare for motherhood, takes a sabbatical and then decides to come back to the workforce. Our objective is to help her make her way back in, says Tejas. Relevant skills, reskilling. According to Tejas, the relevant skills that applicants require for tech jobs today are not defined. The technologies that IT companies use these days vary from one domain to another. Moreover, the industry is dynamic and versatile enough to support all technology experts. Advanced skills like the flavors of JavaScript, Python, and legacy technologies are some of the new age technologies that many applicants are focusing on. What skills do applicants at SheWork commonly lack today, and what should they do to pick them up? Tejas notes, to bring out what the applicants lack, let's dig a little deeper into the country, shifting our focus from metro cities to Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Now, developers from these cities are equally capable of what developers in the metro cities do, but they need more confidence, courage, and communication skills. To overcome this, good exposure to corporate culture can help applicants navigate their career growth. Our task at SheWork is to help such talent navigate their careers. Meanwhile, for women who have left the tech job market for a while and are looking to return, Pooja has some ideas about what specific skills they should pick up. See, there are no specific skills that can be highlighted here, but keeping up with the evolving technology can help a lot. Apart from that, there is enough material on the internet to help women pick up where they left off, she says. Just to give an example, women in tech and planning to rejoin the workforce can stay updated with the trend and make an impact. Blockchain technology or the growing AI technologies can be an ideal starting point. But the most crucial factor here is recognizing and choosing which technology they want to master and excel at, she adds. Meanwhile, for women planning to make a comeback into the tech workforce, Pooja also suggests that a good option would be to join her SheWork community. Such communities can help women understand the industry dynamics better and help them navigate their careers after a rough patch to start again. Also, it's always better to increase your professional network as you never know where the perfect opportunity might strike, she adds. In terms of salaries, Tejas believes there are no salary brackets that they can claim to deliver for women employees. It all depends on their experience, expertise, what kind of domain they are working in, and the company's requirements. Salary brackets are defined based on these parameters, he notes. But as Pooja adds, we don't entertain explanations from companies that since a woman has come back from maternity leave, we will pay them a salary below industry or company standard. We encourage companies to evaluate her, offer her a job based upon her expertise. We give companies ample time to interview a person and take them through tests. Once they have been offered the job, we make sure that it's not below the company standards. Nature of work in tech, how it has changed. Tejas doesn't hide the fact that it's a struggle for women to return to the workforce in the tech industry, whether it's following maternity, relocation, or post-marriage activities. Mid-pandemic, there was definitely a boom in hiring. Initially, there was a boom in hiring more women because work from home has been triggered in India. The IT industry was looking for more talent, developers, testers, etc., irrespective of gender. Women who had been on sabbatical earlier were now interested in coming back to the workforce because companies began offering the work from home, he says. Now, employees are requested to join the workforce at their office premises. This has created an environment where women employees are once again being filtered out. We are now seeing attrition on a day-to-day basis. Apart from that, I feel companies in India are not adhering to the norms. Take the example of maternity leave, he claims. Government has mandated companies to provide paid maternity leave for 6 months. Incompetence of companies in adhering to these norms are also forcing women out of the job market. During pregnancy or on the verge of child expectancy, women are often asked to resign or filter themselves out from the workforce. That is a significant contribution to reducing the number of women workers, he adds. What more should companies do to accommodate women? Every company has their distinct style of working. Every company has different policies for their employees based on the nature of their work, culture, and deliverables. Big tech companies have a very defined process and policy. Other than increasing the percentage of women employees in their companies, we haven't yet read about any specific policy rollouts for women, says Pooja. But some mid-scale companies and funded startups like Zomato, Swiggy have rolled out policies to attract more women employees. They've announced menstrual leaves policies for their organizations. Some startups are giving opportunities to women where they can avail work from home. There's a lot of scope for companies to create a balanced work environment for women, she adds. Tejas notes, Some companies have recently rolled out certain policies that support women employees, like allowing them to bring their children to the office. They roll out programs like these once or twice a week, helping women employees establish a direct link between their home and office life. The situation is definitely improving in India, but companies must do more to provide a nurturing environment to increase the rate of female participation. Recently, SheWork also came up with their Gyno Care program, which is working towards bringing more women back into the workforce. It offers free health checkup camps for women IT professionals in association with partner companies. What more can applicants do? Tejas believes that there is more applicants can do to improve their chances of finding quality work in the tech industry. He uses the example of an employee at SheWork. Jigisha, a .NET developer working with our company, recently had a child. She took the mandated 6 months of paid maternity leave. Eventually, she ended up taking a break of 8 to 9 months. And during this time, she reskilled herself in tools like .NET, DevOps, Microsoft Azure, and regained her confidence as a full-stack developer. Now she works at SheWork as a full-stack developer, while earlier she was just a .NET developer, he claims. He believes this is a good example of how women are utilizing their time also in terms of reskilling and upskilling themselves during their sabbatical. Meanwhile, Pooja notes, we are getting a lot of participation from the IT industry across technology stacks. We are receiving registrations from companies looking for engineers or developers familiar with software tools like Salesforce, BMC Remedy, Expo Tools, and ServiceNow. But we have also noticed that there is very little female participation in these roles. We are trying to raise their participation. Also, we tie up with companies that are actually trying to build an inclusive workspace for women. The SheWork community has more than 25,000 members. Since their launch, Pooja and Tejas claim that they have helped anywhere between 800 to 1,000 women obtain quality job opportunities in the IT sector. We are doing this work as a profitable entity, and our team is making serious efforts to help more women get the right employment opportunities. But we do not charge female applicants looking for tech jobs because that goes against everything we stand for. Any applicant can join our shework.in community for free. The moment she joins us, it is our primary duty to make her come back or rejoin the workforce, says Tejas. SheWork partners with companies that pay them a fee for onboarding and hiring employees. It's not a one-time fee. They pay us, we split that money with a woman who has got a job, and we keep a percentage of it for operational purposes. In a month, we help hire and onboard about 100 to 200 women, he adds. Making SheWork compatible for women employees. We always try to solve our problems first, before jumping in to solve other people's problems. We are focused on creating a team that will stay and grow with us for the long haul. By growth, we mean career-wise, financially, along with the company, claims Pooja. When it comes to giving an opportunity to travel, take up a leadership role, meet customers, and attend some events, there is a common perception that you need to have certain years of experience in a given organization. SheWork does not believe in that notion. We believe in creating experience by giving opportunities. We have given opportunities to women who have just been there for months because we know that their expertise and potential will take us to the next level and represent our brand in front of others in a quality way. We have given them the opportunity to travel out of India, participate in expos, attend events, maintain stalls, or even greet the customers and our partners, claims Tejas. Also, we aren't strict about the fact that employees who have joined a particular role must stick to it. They are given an opportunity to contribute in different domains where they would like to explore, he adds. Another way in which SheWork has sought to create a congenial workplace environment for women is coming up with some interesting rewarding systems. Recently, there was the #Quarter of Women. Through this initiative, we are covering the stories of all women employees in our team, which will be showcased on our social media pages. This is a personalized celebration of our employees. Besides standard rewarding systems, initiatives like these help employees believe that the she-work community is doing something for them, and thereby some of them will be inclined to work with us for a longer duration, says Pooja. Another important strategy in creating a congenial work environment includes ensuring a woman employee has all the opportunities she deserves for career advancement, even after coming back from her maternity leave. We have roadmaps for these kinds of programs and processes, and we understand the challenges of fulfilling these commitments. We have given our employees complete freedom to work from home. If employees need to work from home, we are encouraging them to do so and also facilitating this process for them. This is an important step too, says Tejas. Part 3. When homemakers become financially independent. While 51-year-old Meenakshi Jhawar from Kota, Rajasthan had the passion for business, the responsibilities of running a household held her back. Today, she and her daughter Aishwarya are founders of Ekatra, a sustainable lifestyle brand that empowers other homemakers to earn a living. They recently bagged a Shark Tank deal of 20 lakh rupees for an equity of 20%. A women-led business, Ekatra has so far trained 32 homemakers from underprivileged backgrounds to make products like journals, pouches, bags, keychains, and gift hampers, among others. These are then sold on their website, Amazon, Etsy, and 26 physical stores. Meanwhile, under their Second Life project, the brand has recycled over 75,000 meters of fabric and turned them into handmade products. The concept behind Ekatra was born when Aishwarya was a design student at Srishti Institute of Design in Bengaluru. She recalls vividly, "For my thesis, I was working in Bidar in Karnataka, and it dawned on me that there are so many homemakers who have talents but no outlet. I also worked on several projects in Uttarakhand and Ladakh and noticed the same pattern. Whenever I interacted with local communities, I would find that the women were extremely talented but confined to their homes. Even at my home, I saw how my mother and grandmother had so much potential and skill that was going to waste. That is how Ekatra was born. I wanted to make something using the available skill sets in homemakers," she adds. In college, she began building a business model and brainstorming a bunch of ideas. Initially, I would make products such as journals and stick up pamphlets in college. After completing my course, I took up a job in Pune as an urban planner. Ekatra found its footing in 2019 when Fab India spotted us and gave us a huge bulk order. My mother then contacted homemakers from around our hometown in Kota to help us, she says. Aishwarya quit her job in 2021 and moved back to Kota to give all her time to the business. From the very beginning, she wanted to base the brand on 3 ideals: women empowerment, sustainability, and delivering high-quality handmade products. The brand makes products that are handcrafted with love and made using used fabric, particularly woven cotton and other cotton products, which are then upcycled. We want to minimize our waste production. Whatever waste is left, we try to upcycle it into different products such as cutlery holders, bookmarks, postcards, etc. As a brand, we don't want a consumer to buy from us just because we are sustainable, but also because of the quality of our products. And for packaging, we use bamboo and banana leaf paper. We source them from Jaipur and Bengaluru, says Aishwarya. The brand trains homemakers for a week based on their existing skill set. Working with homemakers is a delight. They know half of the stuff we need help with, such as stitching, packing, embroidery, etc. With word of mouth, they come to know about us and come on their own to avail training or be a part of the team, she says. The women are from areas in and around Kota such as Bundi and Jhalawar. Training homemakers. Meenakshi, meanwhile, looks after production and procurement. Ekatra has also promoted 3 head artisans, Anjum, Arshi and Zishan, who train the homemakers who come on board. Our clients have specific requirements. In handmade products, exact procedural work is important. We have to maintain quality and standardization and thus introduce them to these facets of production. For example, each handmade pouch or laptop sleeve has a certain uniqueness to it. But quality and standardization are a must. In those 7 days, we teach homemakers these facets of production, she adds. Ekatra does a lot of product customization for clients too. Under Meenakshi's supervision, these head artisans teach homemakers processes like how to count inches if they are just given a few dimensions, or how to pick up instructions from the internet. We also teach them how to handle complex machines, since the equipment they have is often hand-run. We introduce them to standardization of products and how to check quality, packaging and labeling. We also impart some of our knowledge on work ethic. After all, we work on very stringent timelines with clients, so if you promise something that has to be delivered in a certain time, we teach them on how they can ensure results, explains Aishwarya. Under the Second Life project, they upcycle whatever cloth and paper is left behind after the products are made. If the worker has 5 inches of fabric left, we teach them to make a visiting card or a coaster. We teach them how they can minimize waste and attain quality. Of course, they don't become masters of all these facets of production in 1 week. This is just an introduction. In due course of time, they learn everything. We closely gauge whether they are able to do certain things because there is very little margin for major errors, says Meenakshi. Work from home. Helping homemakers become financially independent, particularly in Kota and its surrounding towns and villages, requires creating a work environment that suits their circumstances. Our decision to allow workers to work from home stemmed out of understanding that these are people who can't necessarily afford domestic help. They need the luxury of working in their own time. Both options are open to our workers. They can either come to our workshop in Kota and work here, but many can't afford this, so they take material from our workshop back to their houses, explains Aishwarya. If you have to give women a seat at the table, you have to carve that around the practicalities of it. Lives changed. What's particularly unique about Ekatra is how they have changed the lives of homemakers they have employed. One of their workers, Famida, lost her husband during the pandemic. He was the only earning member in their family. She was left with 3 daughters and 1 son to look after. Through word of mouth and relatives, she got to know about Ekatra. Today, Famida is able to afford her children's education. Another employee, Zaira, recently bought a laptop and an electric vehicle. Anjum, for example, was very motivated to work at Ekatra because she wanted to marry off her daughters into a good family, and that required money, since her husband wasn't well off. Beyond individual stories of redemption, we have also seen the creation of a community of working women who have earned a modicum of financial independence and can lean on each other, says Aishwarya. Arshi has been working with the mother-daughter duo for more than 4 years. She was one of the first homemakers to come on board. She says, "I train new homemakers who want to join. Aishwarya and Meenakshi's efforts have changed our lives. I was always fond of stitching and embroidery, but I never got a platform. They provided me with a space where I could use that talent and earn. I don't think I would have been able to send my children to good coaching centers and schools if I hadn't met them." Making homemakers an integral part of Ekatra. My mother and my grandmother had lots of talent, skills, and even motivation, but there was no platform or opportunity available for them. There were a lot of circumstances pulling them in 1,000 different ways. My mom would often tell me, "My life can't just be about cooking food for you guys or working around the clock for all of you." She did not enjoy the mundane repetition of all that household work. That stuck with me, recalls Aishwarya. When I moved to different remote corners of the country, I understood that this pattern is just not limited to one community. To tell you the truth, it wasn't a very conscious choice for me to do something for women empowerment. It's only when I realized the kind of remunerative work that can be done specifically by people like my mother that I decided to work towards creating opportunities there. Why not try handmade products, since those are something that could be made sitting at home? That's how all of this actually started out, she adds. With the stories that got associated with us, we started believing more in that cause. It's just about that very small spark of creating that opportunity. These women are self-motivated and hard-working, says Meenakshi. As for the future, Aishwarya says, we want to focus on meeting the demand of products that we have. We are also in the training process to induce more homemakers. By June 2023, our number of homemakers is going to reach 50. Lessons learned. Government policy on skilling and reskilling Indians has been active. In the last budget, the government focused on setting up centers of excellence and industrial training institutes. In addition, the government also integrated the Atmanirbhar Skilled Employee-Employer Mapping or ASEEM portal, matching supply of skilled workforce with the market demand, and eShram, which, according to the government, is used for enrollment, registration, collection and identification of the required data of all the unorganized workers. According to the economic survey, the integration of these two portals resulted in a surge of more than 1 million registrations, of which 120,000 candidates have been shortlisted by employers for jobs. Of course, these are all numbers cited by the government and require greater scrutiny, but there is hope that government policy is having an impact. Nonetheless, in this year's budget, the government announced the launch of a unified Skill India digital platform where the emphasis is on demand-based formal skilling linked with employers while also facilitating access to entrepreneurship schemes. Of greater significance, however, was the announcement of the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana or PMKVY 4.0 to skill lakhs of youth within the next 3 years. According to the economic survey, more than 1 million citizens have been enrolled and trained since the inception of the PMKVY scheme in 2017. In the last edition, the survey claims that 740,000 citizens were getting skilled. Once again, these figures require closer scrutiny. The fourth edition of this scheme will emphasize on-job training, industry partnership, and alignment of courses with needs of industry, according to the government. They highlighted that the scheme will also cover new age courses for Industry 4.0 like coding, AI, robotics, mechatronics, IoT, 3D printing, drones, and soft skills. These skills are currently in high demand in industry. What's promising about these policies is the emphasis on creating a demand-driven and industry-oriented skill development ecosystem. This is precisely what ventures like Bridge Labs are doing, albeit with greater precision and collaboration with industry. Taking cues from ventures like Bridge Labs and SheWorks, the government could and probably should encourage greater participation from industry in identifying skill gaps in emerging areas of technology and service sectors. Moreover, the industry could play a greater role in creating opportunities to learn on the job through internships and employment as well, in collaboration with higher education institutions. Each of the entrepreneurs highlighted in this chapter have brought to life their own ideas of how to help ordinary Indians looking for quality jobs. While Bridge Labs has zeroed in on the requirements of tech companies and helps fresher engineers coming out of college to fulfill them, SheWork has devised a platform to help women find their way back into the workforce. Both solutions, however, require support from the larger ecosystem of tech companies, families, and government policy. With the requisite support, these unique solutions will proliferate not only in the tech industry, but also other sectors that require the emergence of such platforms. According to recent figures published by NASSCOM, the Tech Industries Trade Association, approximately 36% of the 5 million employees in the tech industry are women. Despite making up more than a third of the tech workforce, only 7% of women hold executive-level positions. In other words, male employees end up with better opportunities, salaries, and positions. This is why tech companies need to do a much better job in supporting women in the workplace. Meanwhile, in a report titled Women and Work, How India Fared in 2022, released by Initiative for What Works to Advance Women and Girls in the Economy, or IWWAGE, there is a pretty telling finding. Working women often worry about failing at their perceived fair share of household duties, and out of the female guilt of not being able to fulfill their traditional roles to the fullest, justify IPV or intimate partner violence or domestic violence more than other women. Approximately 47% of women in paid employment justified IPV, notes the IWWAGE report. It's critical for families to do a better job of supporting women in the formal workforce. Women are perceived to be excellent managers of time, but they can't be expected to do a stellar job of managing household to office work every day. They need support from their families. While the Ekatra example may seem out of place alongside two ventures looking to fill the jobs gap in the tech industry, there are commonalities that require close scrutiny. One standout commonality is the notion of how work from home helps greater participation of women in the formal workforce. Not all women have the luxury of growing up in a family or working in an environment that doesn't demand them to quit the formal workforce after a certain age. In those circumstances, work from home is a great equalizer and solution that requires more fine-tuning. Ventures in the tech sector and others where this can be done feasibly should encourage this mode of work further. It will take more than a generational effort to defeat India's deep-seated patriarchal system where women are expected to manage the household affairs. In the meantime, work from home gives women some leverage to remain in the formal workforce. The future of work in India must lean more into working from home, and government policy should support it further. Igniting Ideas for Impact is an audiobook published by the Better India in association with Accenture India. Find out more about Accenture India's initiatives at www.accenture.com/in-en. Author Rinchen Norbu Wangchuk. Edited by Divya Setu and Tanya Singh.